I want you to imagine a world where Magic the Gathering basic islands, not even foil ones, could be worth $3,500. Now, I want you to stop imagining, because that's the world you're actually living in. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here today to talk about $3,500 non-foil basic islands. They exist. This is a real thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put up on the screen for you a picture of 4 islands. Now, 3 of these islands are similar. One is dissimilar. Now, all of these islands that you're looking at are all incredibly expensive. These are all worth $3,500 a piece. So you're looking at $14,000. 14,000 American dollars worth of basic lands. That's 4 lands. You have to be asking yourself, first of all, what even are these? I have never seen these islands, and where are their expansion symbols? What is this from? Is this from the ancient days of Magic? Well, what we're dealing with here are known as Guru lands, all right? That is the title for these particular lands. These lands were created as part of the Guru program all the way back in 1999. Now, I will do a separate video covering all the minutia of the Guru program because there is a bunch of documentation that came along with it, but I'll just give you a short little idea right now of what the Guru program is, or was, because obviously it's been discontinued. The Guru program was a reward program where you would be given booster packs of Magic the Gathering and Guru lands in exchange for bringing new players into Magic the Gathering. So the idea would be after every 10 people that you've introduced to Magic and got playing Magic, you would be given a Guru land, and Wizards of the Coast actually kept track of which land you were given. So after you've brought 50 new people into the game, you would have a full cycle of these Guru lands. Now, the Guru lands contain there's different phases of the moon above whatever particular land it is. So in this case, you've got the island. So you've got that little rocky island. It is Therese Nielsen artwork, which is nice, but also it's nothing special. In all honesty, the Guru lands look nice, but they're not earth-shatteringly amazing. So you have to be asking yourself, how in the world can these lands that we are looking at be worth $3,500 a piece? Well, you start out with scarcity, okay? So as I mentioned, these are part of the Guru program, which made them very difficult to acquire in the first place. I remember the first Guru lands I got a while back were worth like $35 a piece at the time I acquired them. Now that was a long time ago. A base Guru land without any of the issues that we're showing with these particular ones, just a base Guru land, a perfect one with no flaws, is worth $800. Well, how do we go from $800 to $3,500? How do you get that level of premium? Well, as I mentioned, these cards are lacking expansion symbols. Or are they? Oh, clever. They are not, actually. Well, 3 of them aren't missing expansion symbols. The expansion symbol for the Guru program was actually an eye. It was a little eye symbol made out of stamped foil. So instead of the regular expansion symbols that were printed onto the cards, these are stamped foils, very similar to the holographic stamps that are put on the bottom of Magic cards now for rares. Very similar to that kind of a process. So these were applied as the final stage to these cards. Now, if you've been paying a lot of attention and really staring at the art, you may have noticed that over on the left-hand side of the island, there is actually some kind of foil stamp. Well, what happened was with a small portion of these Guru lands, the foil stamp was actually printed over on the side of the island instead of in the normal location below the art on the bottom right-hand corner. You have it stamped there beside the island in the actual artwork. Now, on top of the stamp being in the wrong location, it's actually also upside down. And this has created a wondrous effect that actually makes it look like there is a little man out there in the water with his arms stuck up in the air as he's drowning. So these are known as Drowning Man Guru Islands. And that is the reason that they are worth $3,500. That's it. That's all it takes, is taking something that's already really, really rare and then taking a misprint on it, because the Magic community is different than a lot of other communities. There are like baseball card communities and things like that. They want perfection with their cards. They don't care about misprints. But Magic the Gathering has a subset of people who very much care about misprints. And when it's something and flavorful as cool as, like, you have to understand, these upside down stamps don't just appear on islands. You can get any of the 5 Guru lands with these upside down stamps. But these ones are especially sought after because of the way that the misprint adds dimension to the card and makes it appear as if there is indeed a little dude drowning out in the water. So that makes a big difference in terms of misprints. You also have to bear in mind that Magic the Gathering players have a lot of expendable income. And based on when the game came out, we've reached the point where a lot of people who started playing Magic back in the day are now fully grown adults with very well-paying jobs, engineers and things like that. So they have a lot of money. So the bidding on these rarities goes way, 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 way up. And then when these people have them, they hang on to them because they don't generally need to sell the cards to get more cash, right? So you have a situation where the supply of these things is already incredibly limited to begin with. And then you add in the fact that the people who have them aren't really willing to let go of them, and everyone involved tends to have a lot of money. That is what pushes these card prices to insane levels. Now, there's probably some of you wondering, well, what about that other island that's shown down there that doesn't have the Drowning Man? Because if you look down in the bottom left-hand corner at the bottom leftmost island, you will notice it doesn't have the stamp there. So why is this one also with these other rarities? Well, that's because these ones, what happened with these islands that have no stamps is somebody actually stole the uncut sheets from Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast announced back in the day that these sheets had been stolen. The process for these, as I mentioned, was not to have the expansion symbol printed on the card. Because of the special foiling process, it would be applied last. They would print out the sheets, and then the sheets would get run through again to get the foil stamps applied. And that's why you will see on the other islands that the stamp is roughly in the same place on each of the islands. There's a tiny little bit of variance as to where the stamp is placed. And I feel like I've seen one where the stamp was actually more misplaced. But either way, these things don't come by very frequently. The ones that have no stamps on them were actually stolen as a full sheet and then cut. Somebody went and had the sheet professionally cut. So, I mean, it's printed on Magic cardstock, obviously, so it doesn't matter. They're not officially cut in the factory. They're cut by some person who, I suppose I can't know for sure whether they had them professionally cut or whether they did them themselves. But either way, they're cut in a way to mimic the normal Magic cut style. And slowly but surely, they were sold out into the oddities community. So the numbers of these that are existing out in the wild aren't exactly known. We don't know how many were stolen, and I don't think that there's been anybody who's been able to firmly pin down exactly how many of the Drowning Man islands that we have. But for me, it's just mind-blowing to have watched this all, right? I started Magic the Gathering back in 1994. So that'd be 25 years ago. And I've watched the prices on cards, go up here or there. Like a Vesuvan Doppelganger's from Revised has gone all the way up to being a $25 card. But that is a card from 25, 26 years ago, right? We're looking at stuff from forever ago, all the way back in 1994. Now, these came out later. They came out in 1999. But due to the extremely limited nature of them, the prices on them are just absolutely obtuse. $3,500. I completely understand the factors behind why it ended up with the price that it's at, but it still blows my mind that those factors can combine in a way that actually leads to this. Like, it's like, I get why it happened, but it still blows my mind the amount that we end up at, where it's like, okay, I get that these are super rare. I get that these are misprinted and have cool little drowning men in the artwork, and that is cute. And I get all that, but it's still very, very difficult for me to wrap my mind around the idea of a regular non-foiled basic land being worth $3,500 American dollars. That's crazy. That's like a year's worth of groceries. Like that is next level insanity. And since these had just recently come up, basically posted in the last few days, it seemed like a pretty good time to discuss it. These are not like made up, oh, I want them prices. You know how somebody will go and post like, they post a foil Stormcrow on TCG Player for $20,000 as like a joke or whatever. These prices are what people are paying. The guy who originally got these lands paid around $3,000 a piece for them. So they've appreciated in value by $500 just in the time that he has had them. And they're just going to go up as they become rarer and rarer. It's the type of card that some people could have in their collection and not even realize. Some people could have these tucked into their basic land box without even having a concept, just throwing them in their decks, playing with them, having no idea that they have the lands worth thousands and thousands of dollars. If you have even like normal Guru lands with the stamp on them, you're looking at $800 for the island. That's absolutely insane. Anyways, want to thank my patrons and my channel members for supporting what I do. Appreciate it very much. And remember,
we are the sixth color of magic.